All right, welcome back to the Everyone Hates Car Salesman podcast with me, your host, Shawn Payne, also known as Goat for Real 216 on social media. This is the podcast where I bring you guests and topics that are hot in the car market right now, and also people who have had a proven track record of success in the automotive industry and are doing it on a day-to-day basis. And we're blessed enough that they're willing to share their knowledge and experience with me, and then I turn around and share it with you. So today I have one of my favorite car guys on. And the reason I say he's one of my favorite car guys, I've known of this guy for, I believe it's about 20 years. And we've always stayed in touch, on a friendly level, talked about business here and there when we need each other. The reason I say he's one of my car guy favorites is because he, in my opinion, is the epitome of a grinder. He has an independent store in Canfield. Where's in Canfield,
Ohio. Yep.
And every time I talk to this guy, he is at his dealership. He is working. He's grinding. He's doing everything on a day-to-day basis. So that is near and dear to my heart. I want to introduce to you guys a good friend of mine, Chris Haus from Haus Auto Group. How are you, man?
Good, man. Hey, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. I like stuff like this. This is fun.
Yeah,
this is kind of the part of the business I enjoy. I enjoy talking about it because then, like, when you've been doing it for so long, you're kind of passionate about it. So it just, it literally 100%. Just, yeah.
Well, we were just in this studio for about a half hour before we could get started because we couldn't stop talking about the car business.
Yeah, we would have talked for 2 hours. Yeah,
right,
sure.
Right. We just keep going and going and going. So I want to jump right into it, man. You're an interesting guy and somebody that I admire in the business, again, for your work ethic, your hustle. And I know that you are second generation car guy, right, Dad?
Actually third.
Okay.
My grandpa started in the 50s, and then my dad, and then me, and then my son, who's 12, has been doing all our commercials since he's been doing our commercials now for about 6-7 years.
He's a good looking kid.
Yeah, I don't know where he got it. It must be his mom.
Well, I've seen Mom in your post, and I'm pretty sure I know where he got it from. Yeah. No disrespect, but I mean, let's call it what it is,
Yeah.
Well, that's cool, man. So now, Dad passed the business on to you. How'd that work?
Yeah, we worked together I've been working with my father since I was 13 years old, probably. I was a porter, washing cars, to running service department and our wholesale operation. We had a pretty big wholesale operation. Right after I got out of college, we were selling a lot of cars to like buy or pay your institutions like JD Byrider and stuff like that, but like hundreds a month.
Yeah.
And it was a pretty big operation. We ran that for a while because my dad had sold his dealership right back in 97 and then ended up getting back right into it again back in 05. And then it just got to the point where I think like that 2000 to 2010, there were some pretty big changes in the automotive industry when it came from, obviously there was the 2008 when it was pretty nasty, the economy itself, but just the technology part of it, websites and Google Analytics and all that stuff. And it was something that he didn't really understand or really have the patience to wait, and I think like I was doing a lot of that for us, on top of selling cars and running a service department and all that stuff. So it just got to the point where we had made the succession plan to just get him bought out, and he's still here. He's here every day.
Is he really?
Every day.
Oh, I love it. That's my kind of guy.
Every single day. Yeah. He runs our wholesale operation, kind of gets rid of a lot of our trades, works with the sales guys, works with the service department. Pretty much anything he wants to get involved in, and maybe certain things people don't want him to get involved in.
Right.
But he absolutely loves it. Like, it's, and I was talking to you earlier, like, I don't know that I'll ever retire, at this point, but be able to do a lot of things on my terms moving forward is kind of where I'm heading over the next 15, 20 years.
Yeah, so that's good, man. So yeah, you grew up in it. So I mean, second nature to you, but the way that the industry was back then. But one thing I do like about you, Chris, is that you seem to always kind of know what's going on now too. You're not that dinosaur guy. You know what I mean? You're not.
I was fortunate enough to kind of grow up in the middle there's guys that are, 10 years older than me or 15 years older than me that, still have trouble using one of these, but and then there's kids that are 10 years younger than me that are way ahead of it too. And I try to keep an open mind, and I don't want to say, a lot of times people think, it's wasteful to kind of stop and listen to other people. I've always kept an open mind. Like there's things that I've probably spent hours on that was a waste of time. And I'm like, man, that was a waste of time. But there's things I've spent hours on that was not a waste of time. So like, I really think you have to try to prioritize kind of what's important, but also you always have to keep an open mind. And I'm not a micromanager. I'm the kind of guy that hires somebody and I'm like, give me an idea. What's your idea? Okay, run with it. And I give it a little bit of time to catch traction. And if it doesn't, then we got to move on. But I'm not the kind of guy that, there's a lot of guys in this car business that maybe are a little bit older than me that are kind of one directed, where they're not too open minded. And I think it's always a good idea being open minded. But a lot of those guys have made a lot of money in the business, and they're in a different part in their, different space in their life. So I think that was kind of the reason too why me and my dad, did what we did, because there was a lot of things I wanted to do. And, we put a photo booth in back in 2011, and my dad said it was a horrible idea. We don't need this photo booth. And honestly,
Right.
the part of the booth that the part of the shop we used had just a bunch of junk in it.
Right.
I'm like, well, right now, I mean, it's not doing us any good, this spot here. And so we put the photo booth in, and we got away from companies like, and I'm not saying they're bad, Dealer Specialties and stuff like that. And I hired a guy in house to do photos, and he became kind of our marketing guy also. And it's, I think it's just things that we did that a lot of everybody are doing now. We started doing that in 2010. And it was, some people thought it was a bad idea. And I'm the type of guy that I kind of get laser focused, and I kind of keep the path. If some things don't make sense, I change the story as I go, But that was just, you just got to keep it open. You have to keep an open mind in this business. And even in the last 10 years, it's changing so fast.
Every day it seems like every day there's a new tool, there's a new this, a new that. And you're right. Open-mindedness is key to, hey, okay, this is coming down the pike now. I may not understand it fully, but I promise you, if I spend a few hours on it, I can get enough information. And, the nice thing is that a lot of these tools and a lot of the tech that's out there now it's very user friendly. It's not like when tech first started hitting our industry, it was like it was Greek to a lot of guys. Today, it's kind of push and play. So it makes it a little bit easier. But I have always admired that you have always seemed to be, up to speed with what's next and not.
I try. I'll tell you what, it gets exhausting sometimes. Like we just had a 2-hour meeting yesterday. Not a meeting, but we had a couple companies that we were interviewing for new AI products, which we tested some AI about 6 months ago, and I loved it. It was a company called ICOM, which just got bought out by Impel.
Yeah.
They just got bought out. So we were in the middle of that buyout. So now we're with Impel. We like them. They're a little on the high side, I think. For an independent, we're looking at Podium right now and other companies. I don't mean to name drop a bunch of companies.
No, that's all right.
So, and for us, it works out well because we're not a huge dealership with, a BDC and all that stuff. So this is kind of like a couple extra sales guys that and honestly, we're looking at it for service too, to grow the service department.
100% should be. Yeah.
There's so much cool things. I mean, as soon as somebody calls a dealership after hours, it'll send out a text message if nobody answers, or even during the day.
Yeah.
So that AI immediately starts, trying to set an appointment with somebody that called the dealership and we didn't answer. So a lot of filling a lot of holes.
Yeah, it's changing, and you got to embrace it. You can't fight it. But so I want to talk a little bit about personally you. what inspired you? Was it a choice for you to get into business, or was dad like, son, this is what you're doing?
I don't, the crazy thing is he never told me this is what you're doing. He never told me that I didn't have to. But like, it was never thrown at me. I literally always just thought I was going to work in my family's business. Like that's just, it's funny we're talking about this. I had in second grade, we made a cookbook and we sold it. We sold the cookbook. I still have one at home, but one of my sister's friends posted on Facebook the other day, me and my sister's page. And in the bottom, it kind of said, the question was, what do you want to do when you grow up? And if you were on a deserted island, what 2 foods would you take with you,
Yeah.
And I put right in there as plain as day, I'm going to run my dad's used car lot. And it was not a car lot. It was a used car lot. And it was,
right.
And I just had a friend of mine that was in here like a month ago for service. And he's like, man, I remember we were on a field trip, man, in like 4th grade. And the bus drove by your dad's car lot. And you were like, someday I'm going to run that place.
Oh, that's
and he
awesome.
goes in 4th grade. So like, I don't know. I just think I had it in. I always thought that's kind of what I was going to do. And I jumped right in. And before you know it, 10 years goes by and you're like, there's no turning back now.
Yeah.
So
there are certain guys, I believe I'm one of them. I think you're one of them who this is what we were just meant to do. We probably could have done other things. Certainly you're sharp and intelligent and bright and eloquent. You could have went into the corporate world if you wanted to, but some of us just once we get around, you get around this industry, that's it. That's what you want. That's what you're drawn to. And, if you're lucky, you're good at it. And it turns into your career,
Sometimes we get such a bad reputation, but I do believe there is a lot of good businessmen in the car business. Like some of the best in the world, I think,
Yeah.
And I think it's in you, like as much as I don't want my son to be in this business, he's 11, going to be 12 in July. And I think he's going to be better. I think he's going to be a better businessman than I am, or better in the car business than I ever was, just because like there's some things I'm good at. Like I love coming on these podcasts and I love talking and stuff like that, but I hate speaking in front of people. I'm kind of outgoing when I'm in public and stuff, but my kid takes that to a whole nother level. Like
really,
like no fear at all. He likes to sing, right? He's in middle school. And he just first year in 5th grade, big school, 4 grades. Principal calls me a week into school, and I'm like, oh man, the principal's calling. What's going on? And he goes, hey, we're having a student faculty volleyball tournament. Do you mind if your son sings the national anthem? And I'm like, does he want to?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah. I'm like, I don't care. So he. First week in school, he walked right in front of the gymnasium, sang the national anthem in front of 900 kids.
I love it. He's going to have no problem going over to close a deal. No problem.
I would have had to go to. I'd have been in an emergency thinking about it. So I really think personality-wise, he's going to crush it. And I'm saying if he wants to be in this, because I think with the way he acts and stuff, I really think he could do whatever he wants. At the end
that's
of the
awesome.
That's
awesome.
Yeah, but I think it's in, like you said, it's in your blood. Like it's partially in your blood. I don't think there's anything you can do about it.
No. Why fight it? Just give in. I mean, just get in. But so I want to talk a little bit about what kind of challenges as an independent owner of a successful independent lot, right? What would you say has been your biggest challenge?
I think there's multiple. I mean, there's number one, there's hiring, hiring and training and finding employees is always tough. And I think that's any small business. I mean, that's across the board. So I think that's huge. Overhead. I mean, two of the biggest issues for small businesses, period, is overhead and employees, right?
Yeah.
So things are getting more expensive. Like we talked about earlier, what do you do? What don't you do? What do you pay for? What don't you pay for? Having the time to literally look back. Like I was telling you before this, I don't want. I mean, I won't drop any names, but certain online platforms that we paid. There's certain online platforms for car listings I was paying $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 a month
Right.
for 10 years, thinking I needed it.
Right. Right.
And I was, and the crazy thing is I would go to all these conventions and these older car guys would be like, these guys, they're horrible and this and that. And I'm like, well, if you don't need them, if you don't think you need them, then don't use them. But I never listened to my own, because I thought, I need these. And honestly, you need them at some certain point, but how much money a month should you spend? Like, and then once you get in that rut where you're paying X amount a month, you think it's driving sales, and you're like, man, if I back off,
right,
right, But then I think the older you get, you're like, I'm going to back off. If I have a bad month, I had a bad month, but I found out, right? When you're younger, you're like, I don't want to have a bad month. So like, it's like at the end of the day, just like I think knowing like there's so much waste in overhead. And there's things you have that you think you need and you don't need them, but you don't know what's what until you do a really good evaluation. So I think that's really, really hard. And like, and even for like, there's people that come in and you can hire people to come in and tell you what you need and what you don't need. And I don't know how they know, I mean,
my business, how would you know? Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, like at the end of the day, like I think everything is relevant in each business, but I think two of the biggest things is going to be just hiring and overhead and just balance. Work-life balance is tough too.
So, was there ever anything that happened in your business where you considered, you know what, I don't want to do this? Has anything ever happened in your business? A moment where you were like, this isn't worth it, or that's it. I don't want to do this anymore. Anything ever happened like that to you?
I've not gotten to that point. It's been a very good business for our family over the decades, and does it get frustrating at times? Absolutely. This goes for any business, right? Yeah. And then you get to the point where, like, I'm 46. You start thinking about how many more years do you want to do it?
Right.
Or at what capacity do you want to do it? So like, I think like at the end of the day, I've never thought, man, I don't want to do this. The crazy thing is I've always done other things. Like I told you earlier, we're doing some, house flips and stuff like that. Yeah. So I've always said this, if you can be very good in the car business, you could do anything else. You could work anywhere else.
Right.
Name it. Pretty much anyway. I mean, you're not going to be a doctor, obviously. You're not, right. You're not going to start doing heart surgery.
No.
But like, any type of, I think car guys are grinders. You know what I mean? So like if you've got the work ethic and the grind to do it, you can do just about anything. So I've never said, hey, I don't want to do this anymore. But against my better judgment, I've always said, well, maybe I'll do this also. Like right. I need two jobs, right?
Right. That's what you need, another job. Yeah, that's what you need.
Yeah. So I've always, and I have learned as I got older, and I've never been cheap, but you always pay people and you want to put good people around you, because when you do that, you can do more. I mean, I always think to myself, man, you think it's tough and it's so hard. And then you look at these dealerships that have like 15 locations and you're like, if he can do it, I can do it. He's just surrounding himself with better people than I am. Yeah. So you whenever I hire somebody, I'm always thinking, is this guy going to help me, push me up, or is this something I'm going to have to really deal with that I don't want to have to deal with? So I'm always trying to help people and I always say that to my managers. I'm like, listen, if we hire somebody, make sure somebody's going to help you on a daily basis, not hurt you. If somebody's going to hurt you, then we don't want them,
Right. He better sell a lot of cars. If he comes with a headache, he better sell a lot of cars.
Well, even service, if they're not going to help our customers and make our customers happy and help the manager at the same time and not cause a lot of grief, then go for it. But if they are, then why even put ourselves through that? And there's been times in the past where I've hired people and I'm like, maybe I shouldn't. I just don't do it now. Like we're getting to the age, Shawn, where we're counting the days,
Right.
So like, and I'm not saying we're old, but like,
We're ancient, bro. We're old. We're old.
I
Yeah.
think a little bit differently now than I did when I was 25 or 30 years old.
Imagine if you were
you thought you were going to live forever now, right?
Oh, you were invincible. Imagine if you were this smart when you were 25. You know what I mean? Like what you could have done.
Retired. I'd be retired.
I'd be done already. Hey, so today, obviously, again, similar age. You've accomplished quite a bit. You're still successful. You got a beautiful family, great business. You wake up in the morning. What's your motivation today?
I don't know. I don't even know. Like my motivation is my family, my customers, the business, just kind of making sure everything's running the way it should be. Maybe a little bit of OCD is my.
But that's your okay. So that's what's on your mind. But what's your motivation? What lights the fire in Chris's stomach in the morning? I have an idea. I have an idea, just knowing you a little bit like I do, but I want to hear your answer.
Honestly, you start looking at numbers and just getting everything paid for, and then being able to live off a residual sooner than later, so you can enjoy life. Because I think we grind so much that we don't want to. We want to be able to enjoy it a little bit too, All
right. Well, I mean, and that's a fair answer. So the reason I say I think I might have an idea is because I obviously have a lot of friends that, similar to you, come from, second or third generation. Is there a little part of little Chris that still wants to make dad proud?
Oh yeah, on a daily. I mean, you do that. I mean, you on a daily, you want to do that. Yeah. I think now it's gotten to the point where we're not trying to make each other proud. We're just trying to bust each other's chops as much as possible. Right. As much as possible. So yeah.
Dad's a friend. He's your buddy now, right? Like he's your ball buster.
Yeah,
buddy.
I think I always said this: we'd make a great reality TV show because there's days we want to strangle each other. Oh. But you always want to. I mean, I think though when you get older, I think you want to make dad proud in your 20s and your 30s, and then you have a family. Now you're trying to make your wife proud and your son proud, and so it shifts a little bit, But I think at the end of the day, I've always been the type of guy. I'm unfortunately I'm not unfortunately, but I'm like a pleaser. So like I want people to be happy, and I want employees to be happy, and I want customers to be happy, and sometimes that's on regardless of the stress I feel, I do it for that as well. So
well, we're similar like that. Like I remember in our 20s and 30s, it was all about the hustle and the money and the pride and the whatever. And then you cross over right to some position in life, and I don't know what it is. Maybe it's an event or just age where you feel like your purpose on this earth now is to bring others up. And today that's it for me, is watching others. And that could be in a dealership. Like, you train a guy, hey, do this next time and it might work. And then he does it and he makes a commission and has made his family money. So that's great satisfaction. And I think what you're saying is the same. Is a lot of times you get to the point where it's like, I want everybody else around me to be happy. Even if it means I still work a little too hard. That's what's important.
No, I agree 100%.
Yeah.
I talk to guys all the time that call me, and I like having those open conversations. And I had a kid reach out to me. It was asking me just questions about service and stuff like that. And, but no, I love doing it.
Yeah. Now what, go ahead. You need a minute? Here, let's do this. Okay. Let's take 5 minutes. All right. We'll take 5 minutes, take a quick break, and then we'll come back. I'll meet you back in here. Is that cool?
That's perfect. Yep.
All right. I'll see you in a minute, buddy.
All right. I'm going to leave it up.
All right.
Thanks.